I got a couple more things to tell you about this particular case of the Brian and Lynette Hooker story. There are witnesses, obviously, to Brian washing ashore, right? Because he came for help at the boatyard. Like, hey, I came, I just washed up on shore and I need help, right? There are Bahamians and locals who had eyes on Brian when he said, I got marooned. I've been floating all night. And he was carrying a yellow dry bag. Thing is, he washes up on shore around 4 o'clock in the morning, says all these things on tape, saying, oh yeah, and then I went through all the thicket of the woods and had to go get some help. So 3.5 hours later, around 7:30 in the morning, that's when he steps on board the fire and rescue boats. The fire and rescue boat has fire and rescue personnel, they're volunteers, and they have Bahamian cops on board. Fire and rescue welcomes Brian onto their vessel off of the shore of Marsh Harbor, where 3.5 hours earlier he was marooned. Here's what's just batshit crazy. One of the fire and rescue guys can't remember what color dry bag he was carrying. Another fire and rescue guy remembers it being aqua colored. A third fire and rescue guy says it was bluish, which could be aqua. And a fourth fire and rescue guy says it was yellow. And banana yellow ain't blue, ain't aqua. So there's something hinky about what color dry bag was Brian Hooker carrying when he stepped off of Marsh Harbor onto that rescue vessel to start going around and helping them look for Lynette. Here's the story of the dry bag that's aqua. When they picked him up from Marsh Harbor, they crossed way back over 4 miles to Elbow Key, where Brian says, my wife went out, bounced right out the back of the boat, pulling with her the lanyard that was hanging off straight up and down from the engine that pulled the key off, and her dry bag, out she goes. Meanwhile, her hand's on the tiller. She's apparently driving, but she bounces out and she's able to grab her dry bag and grab the lanyard with the key, and out she goes. When the fire and rescue guys first got Brian on board, they went right across to Elbow Key, 4 miles away from Marsh Harbor. But they sidled up next to the Soulmate, okay? And they tied up next to Soulmate, Brian and Lynette Hooker's yacht. And this is what the rescue guy with the aqua memory, it's an aqua dry bag. This is why he remembers the aqua dry bag so well. He says Brian tossed the aqua dry bag up on the back, like kind of above the transom. This rescuer remembers Brian throwing the aqua dry bag up on the back of Soulmate and then messing around with what looked to them like an air conditioning unit for about a minute, and then turning around with the one police representative that got on board with him, and they went down below for about an hour and got back on board the rescue vessel. But the rescuer, with the memory of the aqua dry bag, remembers then Brian getting back on board the rescue vessel tied up next to Soulmate and leaving his dry bag back up next to where he had tossed it on the back of the transom area. But the description is almost like, dumbass, you left your dry bag. That's why it sticks in the rescuer's mind that it was aqua colored. So there's something there. There's some there, I think.